Hello friends, welcome to a tutorial video where you will learn how to build this awesome modern website using React for the client side, Framer Motion for the animation, and SAS for the styling. You're going to learn how to use advanced SCSS concepts like importing other files inside of your main CSS file that you're using, that is creating partial files inside of your CSS, your SCSS files. And also you're going to learn how to create mixins, that is SCSS component that you can use in your main SCSS file. You're also going to learn how to create a sticky navbar that changes a background color in your web app. Plus, you learn all this in this one tutorial alone. And stick with me to the end, and I hope you enjoy the tutorial. Peace. So this is a brand new VS Code with everything being fresh. I'm going to open my terminal in order for me to create a brand new React app. So I'm going to create a React app by using the command npx create React app, and I'm going to give it the ad name, which is the task, like this, and I'm going to hit enter. So actually this process usually takes some time, and I'm going to give it the time for it to run, so that when it's done I'm going to come back and I'll see you in the video. Okay, so everything is running, and yeah, it is done installing the packages, done creating the React app. So this is the folder structure, everything being okay, and I'm running it on local host, which is EDM. Pretty cool. So first thing we are going to do is we are going to clean the folder, and we are going to make a folder structure on how we are going to be working in our project. So first thing first, what I'll do is I'll remove the CSS file. I'll use a setup, I'll use report, I'll remove logo, index, and app that test that JS, all of them, and I'll be left with app.js, which I'm going to remove also all of them. And inside of my app.js I'm going to run the RAFCE, which is the React arrow function export component, and I'm going to click enter. And also, since we are not going to be using pure CSS in this project, we are going to be using the SAS, so that's why you're supposed to install the SAS npm package. I think everything is done. This is it, my app, with the cleanup being done so far. So with everything done here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to open another directory where I'm going to install my SAS package, and alongside I'm going to install all the other packages we are going, which are going to motion animation to be doing in the website, and also to install React intersection observer, which is a hook to be used from mp3 npm here, install npm install to install. You're going to be Framer motion, motion, and I'm going to install SAS, and also React intersection observer, like that, and I'm going to click there. And while everything is installing here, I'm going to come inside of my this directory here, where I'm going to create here an app.scss file, and I'm going going to do here, I'm going to select the whole browser here, and what I'll do here is I'm going to say here, I'm going to say margin to be 0. I'm going to set the default margin of the website to come to 0. I'm going to set the padding of the website also to come to 0, and I'm going to size everything here to be in a border box, so it shouldn't overflow its default width being given. I think something crashed here. Let me cancel this, clear, and I install it one more time. So I'm going to install the dependencies one more time. And while everything is installing here, I'm going to import here my app, app.scss. But since the dependencies are not yet installed, so I'm going to first of all comment this line so that it should run. So while waiting for my app.js to go down, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to trim my VS Code, or I'm going to clean my VS Code now, so that I can have access to the other parts. And in order for me to do this, I need to navigate inside of my source file, inside of my source directory, by first of all clear my terminal. Then I navigate now by using the cd change directory to src. Then now what I need to do now is I need to create new directories. So these are the directories that we are going to be using inside of the project. So I'm going to create the first directory, which is going to be component, second directory, which is going to be data, then the third directory, which is going to be images, and the fourth directory, which is going to be for my styles file. Then I'm going to click enter so that it creates those directory within the source directory. So now that we are done with the creation of the directory, we are now going to uncomment the app.css file in the app.js file so that the changes can be applied on the website. And if you go back to the website now, as you can see, the changes have been done so far. So with that, no problem being coming so far from it, we're going to go back to our VS Code, and inside of our VS Code, so now let's see how we can separate SCSS files. In SAS, we can create partial files that contain little snippets of CSS that you can include in other SAS files, and this will be helpful while working on a big project, and it's a great way for you to modularize your CSS and make things more easier for you to maintain. Partial files are named with a leading underscore, and this underscore lets us know that this is a partial file and it should not generate a CSS file, and the compiler is going to ignore this partial file that begins with the underscore. So inside of my variables, this is where I'm going to create all of the variables that I'm going to be using, like the colors, the font size, the gaps, and everything. I'm going to define them here. So now in CSS, in SCSS, you can either use the normal CSS way, which is the root and the other stuff. Then I start defining your variables by using your two slashes. But now with CSS, with SCSS, you can also use this way, and this is the way we are going to be using here. And this way is you say $, then now you give now the variable name that you want to give it. So if I say I want to use maybe like a color like this, maybe I can say a primary color, and I say maybe a red. So if I want to use now this primary color inside of here, what I need to do here is I will need to first of all import this variable file here that I created it. And guess what? If I'm to import it here, this is what I do. I say at import like this. Then I say now I specify now the path directory. So since I'm inside of this app here, I'll say 1/ and I'll go inside my styles file. Then I'll take now variable.scss.
Notice that after importing, you don't have to put the underscore or the extension name that the file ends with. That is, we are talking of the .scss. You don't need to put it. And if you save it, it needs to run.
So now here, and when I'm done, I need to put my semicolon. So now if I say now inside of my app here, let me close my terminal. If I go inside this app.js file here and I give a class name here as app, copy this class name. If I want to see it here, what I need to do here is I say full stop period app, then you can say now font or maybe color here. Then what I need to do now is I just put $, then now the primary color, and I save. But if I come here, you see the color here has changed. If I forget or if I don't import this variable file where this primary color has been defined, like so, if I comment this line here and I save it, it's going to give me an error that this primary sign or this primary color is not defined, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to comment it like this. So now instead of our styles here, the variable styles that we're going to be using here, I'm just going to import all of them. I already have them being set for us, so I'm going to copy them, and I'm going to come here, select this one, and I'll just paste everything, the colors we are going to be using, the gaps, and the font size, everything being set for us. Okay, so that's it. And also for the second one, I'm going to create another one. This one is going to be for the constant I'm going to be using, pardon for the typo, constant.scss. You shouldn't mistake it. So now inside of this constant.scss, what I'm going to be doing here is actually I'm going to be defining, like for some cases that we are supposed to be using the display flex, align items to be center, justify content. So I'm just going to define all of them here, and what we are going to do here is to define these default variables in SCSS. What we do here is we use @mixin. Using this @mixin, now you give now the name you want to give to this default variable. So if I want to use now maybe flex, if I say my flex align, this is how I give it, flex align. So now this here, this is why I give now my properties to this flex align. So I want to use here display flex, align item center, and justify content center. So I save it like this. So inside of my app.scss here, if I go with this one step down and I select this and I use constant like so, if I want to use now this constant variable that I define here at this mixin, what I do here is I say here at include flex align like that, and I press semicolon. So now if I go back here, you see now here it has given in here the default styles where I centralize everything at the center. Now if I give this app here a height of 100 view height, you're going to see now where it really plays by taking it and align it vertically and horizontally centralized. Okay, cool. So that's everything you are going to be using. So now also inside of my constant here, I already defined some constants also that we're going to be using. That was just like an overview for it. So I'm going to select all of the constants that we're going to be using, and I'm going to paste it inside of this folder here, inside of this file, pardon. like so. So here I have my A tag where I'll have it to be text decoration to be none. I also have here my text gradients, and I also have my button, and I also have for the input container where I'm going to be using for the inputs. I also have for the input here, these are the default styles for the inputs. I have for my logo, I have for my routes, that's the route that are going to be on the navbar, and also at the footer. I have here for flex between, this is where I'm going to be separating contents. I also have flex direction, flex align, flex row with flex center. Okay, with that being said, I think we are done here. So now I'm going to close this file. I'm going to close also this other file here. Yes, close now. Now here, the first component that we're going to create, which is going to be my navbar.jsx. I'm going to create it like that. Now inside here, I'm going to run my RAFCE. Now also here, instead of my styles now here, I'm going to create a new file which is going to handle, this is where I'm going to be writing all of my navbar CSS file. So I need to also import it here. So I'm going to say import this. I'm going to go out of this directory by taking my styles, and I'll use the navbar. Instead of my navbar, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to copy these two imports so that I can use them, so that it shouldn't give me any error. Then now I'm going to go down, give my navbar a class name of app navbar, like that. Okay, so inside here I'm going to give my navbar basically is going to be of, I'm going to separate it into three components actually. So the first one here, I'm going to give it here my navbar here. Pardon. I'm going to say here my navbar, here my navbar logo, where I'm going to have a paragraph where I'm just going to have this D tags like this. For the second div inside of my navbar, I'm going to have, it is going to be directly a UL, pardon, a UL, and I'm going to give it a class name of navbar underscore routes. And the last but not the least, actually last, is going to be for my navbar buttons, like that. Okay, so now here inside of my navbar buttons, inside of my navbar routes here, this is where I'm going to create all of my routes that I'm going to be using. So inside of my routes here, I already created a data file where I'm just going to copy it and paste it here. So let me copy the file, let me paste it here. So this is the data file that we're going to be using for this project, where I've exported everything that we're going to be using. So for this project, this is going to be for our routes and everything that we're going to be using. So yeah, I'm going to say here, and also here, I'm going to go back inside of my navbar here, where I'm going to map inside of this route file here that's auto imported it from me from this dummy. I'm going to say routes.map, and for each I'm going to also take the index. But here I want to return directly with, I'm going to give it automatically the key to be the index, and also I'm going to give with, I'm going to give it automatically the key to be the index, and also I'm going to give this li a class name of routes, and this li here is going to contain an href. Yes, an href. So it's going to contain an href, and the href here is going to be using here route.path, and also it is going to have a content which is going to be route.name, like this. Then if I save it, yes, everything is done. So instead of my buttons, going down to the buttons, I'm going to have two buttons. I'm going to say buttons here, and the first one is going to be, and the other one is going to be for register. So I'm going to say here login, and the next one which is going to be for register, like this. Okay, so basically if I go back now to the website, I guess it is, let me delete this one. We are done. Yeah, why is it not given? Oh, my bad, I forgot to import it inside of my app.js file. So I'm going to say navbar, and like this. So now if I save it, yeah, it is compiling. So inside of my stars, inside of my navbar css, so I need to move actually two directories out in order for me to have these guys. So actually let me import them back. Import styles, then constants, and also variables with a semicolon, like that, and I think it needs to be done. So with that being said, actually let me kill this terminal and I'll run it one more time. npm start. So while everything is starting, let us start styling our navbar. Let's start giving the default styling that we're going to be using inside of our navbar. So actually here inside of our navbar, let's see if we made an error here. Actually not we, I made an error here. So I'm here just supposed to take this constant like this, and also variables. Sorry, my bad. And also with that being said, while waiting for it to launch the local host, so first thing first here, I'm going to say app navbar, since I want everything here to be like they should be separated between each other, so I'm going to use it that way. So given the fact that in our constant file here, we have something here called, let me cancel this one. Instead of our constant here, we have something called flex between. So as we said before, so I'm going to first of all include it here, include at flex between, so I have everything being separated from each other. In here, let me close this tab while the other one is loading. So I'm going to separate them inside of this container. So yeah, I'm also going to give it a height of 70 pixels, and I'm also going to give it a padding of $. I'm going to give it a MD gap. Yes. Oh, I'm having an error which is coming from here, which is actually saying I forgot to install one package, which is React icons. My bad. So npm here, I'm going to say npm here install React icons like so, and I'm going to click enter, waiting for it to load to install so that every error is done. So let me clear again. So I think I need to key this terminal again. Sorry, this is the last time, promise. npm start once more. So now, us being doing that, since a navbar we want it to be fixed, we are going to give it a position set to be fixed so that it shouldn't be shaking, like it should be there. So one that it should be fixed at top to be 0 and also the left to be 0, and one that its width should be 100%, and also the transition that we are going to be using in a navbar is going to be the default trans variable that we defined, that is in our variables file here. I think trans need to be somewhere here, which is this. Trans is 0.3 seconds is in and out. So yeah, while everything is compiling, yeah, I hope no error this time around, which is cool. As you can see, yeah, if I go back inside here, I think we are supposed to remove this guy here inside of my app.js. I don't think I'll need this one for now. I'll just need it to be like as neutral as it can, like that. Okay, so yes, with that being said, let me give this a background of red and see. Okay, so actually I want to give this 0 here, 0 top and bottom, and yeah, left and right is going to be using MD gap. Okay, let me remove now this background color. Pardon, sorry for that. If I remove this background color now, so I want to use here a color, and this color here is going to be my secondary. Is it secondary? Yes, secondary color. So that the secondary here is white, so it shouldn't be in a haste. So with that being said, or let me first of all remove this secondary color because you are not seeing actually anything. And now instead of, yeah, I'm going to go with the navbar logo. And before we even continue with the logo, like the font family is, so I have a Google, I have a font family being prepared for us. I'm going to leave a link down in the description below where you can get it. So let me take the font family. Yeah, it's actually the Google Sans, the one you see on the Google's website. So I'm going to go inside of my HTML here somewhere here, and I'll paste it like this. Then in my app.css, I'm going to see here, give the default family of this guys here. It is going to be the product sans, which is actually the Google Sans font family. So being said, everything here has changed, which is pretty cool. So now, which means that we can proceed with our styling. Given it here, we are going to go now inside of our navbar logo, which is not going to be something great. So dot navbar logo, and what we are going to do here is we are just going to include the logo that we defined ever since. So if I say that, you see it has changed here. Great. So if I go now also inside of my navbar route, and I also include add routes like so, and I click enter. Here you can see everything also here has changed, with everything working naturally. And also in my navbar buttons, navbar buttons here, I'm going to include here, include at flex align, and I'm also going to give it a gap of here, which is going to be LG gap, which is 2 pixels. Okay, great. And also one of the great features of SAS is indentation, which is I can just say here buttons. I take the element that is within this particular div, which is button, and I'm going to include, first thing first, include button semicolon, and also the background here that I'm going to be using here is going to be, at first here is going to be my secondary color, and I'm going to give it a color of at primary color like this. Okay, so here is it. Great, everything has changed now, but I think for now we are going to come back to it when we are going to be working with the home page. So let me everything here. So I'm going to create a second component here that is going to be home.jsx, and also in our home.jsx we are going to run RAFCE, where we are going to import here. We are going to create also another SCSS file to separate each from each other. Then not forgetting to import this from home.scss. So if I come back to my navbar here, I'm just going to copy this so that I can paste it also here, which is going to be great. Close my navbar now, and instead of my home, I'm going to have a class name for sure, which is going to be app home, and inside of my home I'm going to have another, since it's going to be a div. The first div inside of my home here is going to be for the home underscore text. This is where the paragraphs and everything that are going to be situated. So now, since they're going to be situated here, I'm going to just have some H1s So here the first one is make your business, make your business, and the second one is going to be, let me remove this one, is going to say make your business more powerful, full stop, or just like that. Yes, like this. So now instead of this app.home, one thing I would do here is instead of this app.home, one thing I would do here is I'm just going to say here, I'm just going to give this one a height of 130 view height, and I'm going to give it a background of, you guys are going to see now how the navbar is going to look like. The navbar here, I'm going to give it a background of primary color, and I'm going to give it a gap or a padding within it of ex, which is ex gap, and md gap. So the ex gap is, if I go inside of my variables here, ex gap is 10 rem and md gap is 5 rem. So it applies the 5 rem or the 10 rem top and bottom, and 5 rem left and right. So if I come back, and nothing can be applied now because we haven't imported it inside of our app.js. So if I import here also home and everything, if I save it now, you can see this is it being designed, and default buttons that we have changed this. So now with that being said, but now you can see that inside of our app.js, all the components that we're going to be creating, we are going to be importing like this, and it's going to make our app.js to be messy. So actually there's one way where we can import all in just one file by creating in a component folder, creating an index.js file, and here this is where we can say we can import home from home. Then we can also import maybe hero, which one, navbar, from navbar. Then what you do now here down is you say export here home, and now also navbar, which means now that in the app.js file here, what we can do here is we just need to say import in curly braces, import from one.components, just like that. And now here we are importing home, and also we are importing navbar like that. And if I save here, everything is still working as planned. Nothing changes, everything just int. Okay, great. So now inside of our home, which is this file here, we are going to have another below this div here. We are going to say here, which is going to be for our ticks container, where we are going to have the first one, which is they're going to be the paragraphs, and inside of the paragraph we're going to have a span, and the span is going to have some icons from React icons, which is going to be tick like this. So what I need to do now is I need to import it so that it shouldn't signal any problem. Import tick from React icon /ci, like that. So if I come now in here, this is the I down, and also And also below the span, I'm going to say now here lifetime support. And like that, I'm going to create the second paragraph, which is going to be, is not going to be lifetime support. The text is going to be here, say no NCC register, like that. So everything is saved here, which is great. Now back here, I'm going to have a div below this thick div here, which is going to be for my input container, like this, where I'm going to have an input, where the input is going to have a placeholder that says input your email, and the next one is going just to be a button like this that will say try for free, just like that. And everything here is done. So this is it. So now let's move on to the styling. So if I go back to my home here, closing that guide here, if I come to my home, so the first thing I want to do here is, after creating that, I want to create here a flex direction of padding. I want to include my flex direction here, and I also want to include a gap of 3 rem, like this. So now you can see everything here is like being spaced out, making our work to be neat. So if I go now, let me close this app.js index, going back to my home here. So I'm going to take this one, home text, and I'll bring it like this. What I'll need to do here is, I'll say text align to be at the center so that I can centralize the text. And the next here, which is, I'm going to select my H1 and I'm going to give it here. First thing first, I want it to have include the text gradient that we created for it, and I want to pass it a font size here of 5 rem. So if I save it now, yeah, guess what? The magic. So it is changed, which is really great, with SAS. Everything is being simpled for us so that we don't go in a haste to start doing the other stuff. So if I go back here and I take my ticks container and I paste it here, what I need to do here is, I need to first of all include at flex center, like this. You can see it has centered everything we need here. And also I'll need to take here my color to be secondary color, and also I need to give it a gap here of at LG gap, like this. So if I come back here, you can see there it is. So now let's proceed. So now also here, I'm going to take my paragraph that is within it. Instead of my paragraph here, I will need to first of all include, because I need to centralize everything to be vertically centralized. So I'm going to say here include flex align, so that I can centralize everything here vertically centered. And also here I'm going to give it a gap also, so that I can have a gap of t gap, that is tiny gap. And also it's going to maintain a color of hashtag neutral, like this, neutral color, like this. And also my span here is going to have include, also, pardon, I forgot, at include flex center, like that. And I'm also going to give it a height of 20 pixels, a width also of 20 pixels, and also a background here of secondary color. And also it's going to have some border radius of 5 pixels, like this, plus a color of primary color, like so. So if I save it, there it is. Look how sweet, I love it. Then moving forward, inside of my input container, which is this one here, so this text container ends here, so I need to go down and paste my input container. Then what I do here is I just say include at input container, then and I save. Then this is the work that it has done for us, which is really interesting. I really love it. And plus our buttons, the buttons that are inside of it, I'm going to give it a background of secondary color, like this, which now makes our button to be interesting. But now we need to make that when we scroll and we are more than like a particular height, the nav bar needs to change actually its color, like the background of the nav bar needs to change, because now it's just like so we need to go back to our nav bar here, and we need to start performing some logic. So nav bar, yeah, so inside of our nav bar here, we are going to use some use states. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to define our state, which is going to be bg color, and set bg color to be equal to use state, auto import it, and its initial state is going to be false. Okay, now what we want to do now here is we want to write a function that is going to be checking automatically. So this function, I'm going to give it a name, that function change navbar background, like this. Let me say change navbar background color, like this. Somehow interesting, very long, but it's worth it. So now here I'm going to say if here, because I need to check, I want to check if the window dot scroll y is greater than or equal to 70. Actually calculated directly in pixels, so I don't need to say 70 pixels. Or so if it is already greater than 70, what I need to do here is I need to say set bg color here to be true. You guessed it, you're correct. And else, if it is not greater than this, what I need here to do is set bg color here to be false, back to its initial state. But now we want something that is going to be listening. So the thing now that is going to be listening to this command is going to be our window, where I'm going to say window.add event listener, and I'm going to give it the event listener that I want to be listening to is going to be scroll. And which event do I want to be listening when the thing is changing, like which function do I want to be listening, I'm going to say change navbar this. So with that being said, inside here now, inside of this our app, so I'm going to select this guy here, app navbar, remove. Yeah, now this is where now I perform my logic, and I say now bg, if it is bg color, I want to say use this one, app navbar and plus active, else you just use app navbar. And if that's the case, so I need to go back inside of my navbar.scss file here, and what I need to do here is right at the top, I need to perform some, I need to add, and for me to add a new class, I use the unsigned and I use active here. What I need to do now here is I need to change the background color, since I need to make like the background color is not supposed to be like totally how can I say it, totally white. So I'm going to use the HS cell, which stands for use saturation lightness. So the first value that I'm going to give here is going to be for 0, which is 0 also, 0, and the next one is going to be 100%, which is actually for white. But now I want to divide it by 0.8 like this. And also, in order for me to give it now that background to be somehow blur, I'm going to say a backdrop filter, and the function I'm going to give it here is going to be blur, and this takes a value. I'm going to give it 14 pixels, and also I want to give it some box shadow here, which is somehow box shadow. I'm going to give it to be 0 and 10 pixels RGBA, and the first value is going to be 0, second value also is going to be 0 for total black, 0 again, then I'm going to include the last value, which is going to be 0.2, which is, where am I? Okay, yeah. And I'm going to have also a color. Yeah, anytime it changes, I want that the color here should be the primary color, like this. So now if I go back here now, yeah, and I scroll, as you can see, you see how it changes the background color, right? Which is interesting. So now here, let me put back the color here to be secondary color, so that when it's not like this, it is white, which is somehow interesting. So with that being said, I think I made some errors here without like putting the commas. That's why I had like the total white. So now you see how the thing is somehow being transparent. I can see the text that is below and beneath my navbar, which is great. So also with the buttons, I need to make something like a logic also for it. So inside of my navbar, instead of these buttons, I need to include some logics to these buttons. And the first button here, which is going to be for the login, I'm just going to say here that if it is style, like at style, then I want to change the color here. I want to change the color if the BG color, if it's the BG color is active, that is if it is true, I will want to use my variables here, this secondary color. So let me copy it, and come back here. Let me, oops, I made an error. If it is active, I want to use that, else I just want to use a white color. So now if it is not active, as you can see how the thing changes its color here. And also inside of this guy, let me just copy this same one and put it here. And what I need to do here is I need to also change the background color, which is going to be, if it is the same, so I'm just going to copy this one, copy, and I'll just paste it also here. Oops, I need to interchange it here. It's going to be white here, and it's going to maintain this color here, hashtag, like this. And it's massive, okay, here, by mistaking typed something within it. Okay, with that being said, I think one of my buttons is actually misbehaving. I don't know why. So actually, let me give this button here a class name. Let me give this one is going to be 1btn. So if I go back now inside of my navbar and beneath this, and I select this one, I'm just going to give it a background color of none. Background color of none, like this, so that you shouldn't like interact or disturb. But why is it not changing here? Background of maybe transparent. Oh, I forgot the and percent, like the and sign. Sorry, I'm sorry, my bad. Okay, so now as you can see, we are basically done with the hero section. If I go here and I create a new component, I'll call this component dashboard preview like this, .jxx. Now inside here, I'm going to run my RAFCE snippet. Then also inside of my styles, I'm going to create another styles file that is going to be, let me just copy this name, and I'll paste here dashboard preview.scss like this. Then inside of my dashboard preview here, I will just say import this guy from styles and dashboard preview.scss, and I'm going to go inside my navbar and I'll copy this import statement so that I can also access it here, and I'll save that file. Then let me close every tab we've opened so far. Then I will look for my index of my component, where I'll need to import my dashboard preview. Hold up, import dashboard preview from / out of it like this, and I'll export it also as dashboard preview like that. Then inside of my app.js file here, I'm just going to import it down here, and I will say dashboard preview like this. It has auto imported it for me, so I think, or I guess it should do the same for you. Right down here, this is it. Okay, so So now inside of my images folder here, I have some images already being prepared for us that we're going to be using. So I'm just going to copy them and paste it inside of this images directory. So if let me copy all the images, let me paste them here. So here they are. Here are the images and the files that we're going to be using. So this is a dashboard here. This is the dashboard image here. Here is the future, and here is for the one phone, and here is for the two phones, which is kind of interesting though. And inside here, this is the index.js file where I've imported all of them and I'm just exporting them at once. Okay, cool. Let me close every tab here. Inside of my dashboard preview here, what I'm going to do is, let me first of all give it a class name of app dashboard, like this. So now inside of my inside of this dashboard component, this dashboard preview component, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to return an image img where the source is going to be dashboard, and I'm going to import this dashboard, import dashboard from 1/1 directory out, and I'm going to take the images and I'm going to take just that images for that, because I've already exported everything in my component file. So this is the image here, somehow being weird right now because the thing is too big, but no problem, we are going to style it, and the styling starts now. So now inside of my stylings here, what we are going to do here is, let me open this dashboard preview here. I'm going to say app dashboard. Let me just copy the thing so that I don't make any error. App dashboard. What I'm going to say is I'm going to give it a width of 70%, yes, and I'm also going to give it a position of absolute, and I'm going to give it a bottom of, it's going to be -80%, yes, and it's going to have a left of 0 and also a top of left of 0, right also of 0, then margin of auto, so that is going to centralize it. Both the left and right side are going to be centralized. And now if that one is done, I need to target the image I found within that component or within this div, and I give it a width of 100%, a border radius of 40 pixels, and also a box shadow of hashtag or $sign shadow, like this. And if I save it, then I come down here, as you can see, that's it. But now if you notice, our dashboard image here, it is like climbing on top of our navbar, which we don't want that. This is because here in our navbar.scss, we need to give here a z index of maybe 2, like this. Now if I go now with it, you can see now my nav banner is on top of beneath it, which is interesting. Cool, right? I think with the dashboard we are done. The next component we are going to be working with is the analytics. The analytics. So let me go back to my VS Code. We're going to create another component file here, that is analytics, the JSX. Then I'm going to run my RAFCE. Then also inside of here, I'm going to create a new file, analytics.scss, like so. Same as ever before, I'm going to do the same inside of my analytics here. So I'm going to give it also a class name of app _analytics, like this. So now inside of my analytics here, what I'm going to do here is I'm first of all going to give it here a div. It's going to have a div that is going to contain all of the default analytics together. So yeah, I'm going to say analytics container like this. Then now I'm going to have here left analytics, and I'm also going to have right analytics. Okay, so now inside of this left analytics here, I'm going to have here my left text like this, and it is going to have an h1 that is going to say okay, comma, let's see the tags in numbers, like so. And just beneath it, we are going to have a paragraph that is going to just take some lorem text. Just beneath this left analytics text here, we are going to have also a left analytics container like this, where now here we are going to, this is where we are going to use this analytics from the dummy, from this dummy here, this analytics here, we are going to use it. So we are going to map inside of this array by using the map function in JavaScript. So I'm going to say here analytics dot map, and for each analytics, or for each analytic, for each analytics and the index also of it, what I want to do here is I want to return here, what am I returning? I'm returning here a div, or let me just say here analytic container like this, where let me close the sidebar, and let me not forget here to give it a key of index, and also inside of it I'm going to have another div here that's going to say, yeah, it's just going to be my analytic icon. And here what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to say is going to be analytic dot description, just like that. Then beneath it I'm going to have my paragraph here that is going to have here my analytic dot name like this. Then if I save it and I go back to my website, yes, you can see it because we haven't imported it. So I'm going to say import this from analytics like this. Then yeah, I just say export our analytics file. So if I go back to my app.js here, then I say analytics here, and now analytics like that. Then I save my work here. As you can see, this is here somewhere beneath this image, but now don't worry, as we are styling it, you are going to see beautiful to come down. Okay, so I think with that side it is done. So now let's go back inside of our analytics here by closing this one and also our app.js with the dummy data, since we're not going to be using it for now, dashboard preview, and also this one. Yep. So going inside of our right analytics, what we are going to do here is we are just going to render an image. It's just going to have an image only, and the image is going to be one phone like this. So I need to import this one phone here. So I need to say import one phone from images like this. Then if I save, finally the error needs to go. Let me say index of my images. Okay, it is not a capital letter, yeah, but it needs to be like this. Okay, great. So I think now the error is gone. So this is the phone, yeah. And also, yeah, I need to make something instead of my dashboard preview, pardon, dashboard preview, yeah. So I don't know if you take this image and you try to drag it, you can see how the image is, like the image is somehow draggable, but I don't want these images to be draggable. I don't want none of my images to be draggable. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say here draggable, and I'm going to put here false. And if I save it, you can see now I cannot still reach though, which is somehow interesting. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm also going to put it inside of my analytics here, just beneath it, and I'll copy and paste it like that. So which means that I can add particular image, which is cool. So now I can close this dashboard preview, and I close my index. And if during the tutorial I forgot to put this draggable image or this draggable attribute to the image tag, please don't forget to include it on yours, which is interesting. So with that being said, I think we are done with that, with the analytics. What is left now is for us to style this analytic page. So if I come back here and I go to this, I copy this class name since it's the root, and I want to give it here a height of, first of all, I want to give this one a height of, so yeah, this one is going to have a height of fit content, and also it's going to have a background of secondary color plus a padding. So it's going to have greater padding at the top of 35%, and also left is going to have MD gap, which is 5 rem, then 10% at the bottom, and also MD gap at the right, MD gap at the right, which is interesting. So now that's it. You can see it. I think I haven't imported it inside here. Yes, so I need to import this guy, stars here, and I say analytics like this. So if I save it now, as you can see, yes, this is it, just beneath that is preview. Okay, great. So now we are going to move forward with the analytics container, where I'm going to say here, and also I'm going to say here analytics container, which is going to have the include here. I want to give it flex align so that it separates my guys together, and also I want to say now here, inside of it, I want to take my left analytics pattern. Inside of here, I'm going to say my left analytics, I want to include here, flex direction, like so. I'm also going to give it a gap of, this gap is going to be of LG gap, like this, and I'm also going to give it a flex of, flex of 1, like this. So now I separated this top part from these other guys, so which is great. And now let me take my analytics text, yes, like this one. Also, what I'm going to do here is I will just say analytic text here, and I'm going to copy this first one also. I'm going to copy that first one, and I'm going to target my H1 here, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give it a font size of 4 rem and also a color of primary color like this, so that it shouldn't be black or like pure black, whatsoever thing or whatever color that comes like into its way like that. So now the second one is this paragraph here that I style also. So for the paragraph here, the paragraph that is beneath this H1, which is P, what I'm going to say here is I'm going to give it a color of hashtag, pardon, a color of, this color here is going to be the neutral color, this guy here, and also it's going to have a font size of 1.3 rem like this, so somehow big enough to read. And we need to style also the other one, which is this text. So while styling the text here, I think it's not inside, it's inside of this guy but not inside of left text, it is beneath the left, or yeah, beneath the left text here, which is left analytics container. So inside of my left analytics container, going to go down of the left text, going to go out of the left text styler, and what I'm going to do here is, yeah, first thing first, I want to first of all include at flex align also, and I save it so that I can disperse them. And also inside of here I want to give it a gap, so I'm just going to copy this gap here and I'll paste it like this so that I can separate them from each other like what we have here. Then beneath, inside of it here, so what I want to do now here is I want to take now each analytics on its own, like separately, then I want to style them. So I'm going to put it here like this, analytics here. Then what I need to do here is I also need to include this flex align here. Let me just copy it so that I can align everything there. And also here I want to include also a flex direction here of colon, then also a gap of LG gap, let me put that one also, and a cursor of pointer, and a color inside of it, which is going to be at the primary color, plus the font width, which is going to be bold like this. So now if you see it, everything here is aligned centrally. And also now what I need to do now here is I need to style this analytics icon. So now inside of this analytics icon here, what I will do now is go back to my CSS and I'll take my analytics icon class, give it a height of 180 pixels and also a width of 180, then also give it a border radius of 20 pixels like this. Now you don't see anything. If I give it here a background of red so that it can be visible enough, this is it, like that. And also let me give it a font size of 2 rem like this, so the font size can be big enough so that you can see. And also I can also put a transition here of, let me say $trans, this trans container that we created. It is not horizontally, vertically centralized, which is why I'm going to say to centralize them, I'm going to use at include flex center like this. Where I save them now, you can see they are vertically aligned. So in order for me, since you are not going to be using that red color, so I'm going to say the background color here is going to be the neutral color, just like this, neutral like that. So they cut there, but somehow a little. So now with this being said, I also need to add a hover property to this guy. So hover, what I want to do here with the hover here, all I want to do here is first thing first, I'll first of all come here and I will say, yeah, to say my background here, background color for sure, it needs to be pure white. So it's going to be my secondary color. Is going to have a box shadow of shadow plus, yeah, I'm going to include the text gradient, yeah. So far for now, without no problem, yeah, I think it is done. Yes. So what's left now is for us to style right container. Okay. So what we are going to do with this right container here, which is just having this image, I'm going to copy it, then go beneath this guy here. So inside of my right analytics, let me first of all see where my left analytics ends. So it ends here, so I'm going to go beneath this one and I'll paste right analytics. Right analytics is going to have a flex of also 1. Let me give it a background of red so that you can see it enough in action. To centralize here, what I would do here is take everything here and I just push it to the end. So here is just going to be a display of flex and a justify content of flex end like this. So now it's going to push everything here the end each. So now I think that one is cool. Now I can remove this background because we are not going to be using this background here, which is also cool. So for the animation, going to be now we are going to first of all web self, then at the end of the design, that's where we are going to introduce using. So hope you stick around. If you like it, don't forget to support it with it if you haven't already. So with the analytics page being done, so we are going to build now the future page. This is where all the features will be included. So inside of this, let us create a new file here. Let us create a new file inside of a component, which is going to be feature.jsx. Run my RAFCE snippet. Then inside of my styles here, I create a new one, feature.SCSS, like so. In my analytics, copy this one, go to my feature, and I paste it there, which is cool. I think now we can close our analytics, and also yeah, that one is done. Close my navbar also. Yeah, give it a class name. So first of all, begin with, give it a class name of app__ feature, like this. So now you can't see it because we haven't imported it yet. So we need to go to our index, which is the one for of our components, then we say import feature, and don't forget, most importantly, to export the feature. So then in your app, then you can now say feature here like this, and you import all of it in one single line also, which is great. So now I think it's done, so I need to close this feature here. Alright, so this is the feature text here somewhere beneath that guy. So now inside of my feature here, I'm going to say beneath it, I'm going to say feature container like this, and inside here I'm going to have left feature, and I'm also going to have right feature like this. So now inside of my left feature, I'm just going to have an image which is going to be feature. Then this image, import feature from images like this. So this is our feature image, yeah. And also don't forget, as we said before, you add your draggable to be false like this, so that you cannot drag from one spot to the other. Now we are going to go to the right feature. This is where we are just going to say here right text, and instead of our right text we are going to have an h1, and an h1 here is going to be feature to help and your team succeed like this. Then after this h1, I'm just going to put a paragraph also, and I'm just going to give it some lorem text, which is going to be yes like this. So now inside of this right text, the right text is done. So now we need now to go and create another div beneath this right text, where I'm going to give it a class name of feature content like this, and this is where it's now going to contain all of our feature content. And being ready for us, I think it is inside of our dummy. So yeah, these features, where I'm just going to map inside of this array. So I'm going to say here feature dot map, and for each feature, and not forgetting the index of that feature, what we want to do is we want to return automatically or directly a feature div like this. But for now, if I save it, or I made an error, like it was a typo, it is features here. So I can now say here import features from data like this. So error. Okay, data slash dummy. I forgot that one, sorry. Thing with that one, it is set. So don't forget, every time you map in React, don't forget to give the first div the key of index. And also here, first thing first, I want to render an icon, which is that same icon we used before, which is tick 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 like this, and I'm going to say import tick from react icons /ti like this, so that we can have our, yes, this is it, down, and beneath it we are going to say here we're going to have a div with class name of feature text, like so, where we are going to have a paragraph that is going to have feature. This one is just going to have, like, the content is just going to be the feature, and also a span beneath it that is going to have some lorem 10 text. It's going to bring us with some lorem 10, yeah, we want 10 text from lorem from each. Oh, yeah, it's done. It is done. It is done. So now I think we are done with the feature. What we need to do now here is the styling. So now inside of this feature page here, I need to say app.feature. Then I need to first of all give it a background of it. This is going to be our primary color. So if I've imported, which I think I've not, yes, I haven't, so import styles and feature .scss. so yes, this is it now. Being cool. So it's going to have a primary color, our primary color, and we are going to give it a padding here of padding, maybe a padding of, the padding here also is going to devalorize. So the first one, the top, is going to be MD gap. The second one, which is the bottom, also the right padding, is going to be also MD gap. Then for the bottom is going to be 20%. Then left also is going to be MD gap. So now this is it, yeah, which is yes. So with that, and also we need to give this one a position of relative for now, because we are going to add one component inside of this feature page that is going to be also like the dashboard preview, but not like the dashboard preview. So now let me take my feature container, and yeah, what I would do here is I include first of all my flex align, and I also give it a gap. I give it a gap of large gap, like so. Then inside of this feature here, I have the left feature, which is this div here. Let me copy it to make sure I don't have any typo. I want to give it a flex of 1. So actually the flex of 1 here makes to automatically, so yes. If I also, and I say inside of this right, pardon, this right, pardon, if I come inside of here and I select where is the right, this right feature, and I also give it a flex, pardon, a flex of 1, you're going to see now here that both of them are going to have a height of percent, pardon, a width of 50%. Let me give this one a background color of red, and I give this other one a background color of green. So now you can see now this one with 50%, this other one with 50%, which is amazing. So that's amazing. So that's the use of flex. So now inside of my left feature, let me finish with my styling. Or I think I'm done for now with the left feature. Inside of my right feature here, with the flex of one being already given, so now here I can first of all include my flex direction and also a gap of this inside of it, which is going to separate the top and the bottom from each other. And also inside of my right feature here, I have here my right text here also, where I'm going to also give it the same. I'm going to copy the same styling here and I'm just going to put it here also, which is going to separate also the top, which is this paragraph, this h1 tag from this paragraph tag. Okay, so now inside of here, what I want to do here is I want to take my h1 here and I want to give it a font size of 4 rem also, like this. And also it is going to have a color of secondary color. This one is going to be white, like this. And also the paragraph beneath this one is going to be the paragraph here, having a font size of 1.3 rem and a color of neutral color, like this. Okay, which is great. So now beneath our paragraph text, which is our right text, we had this feature content. So below this, what I would say here is I want, instead this one, now I've not used display of flex. Now I want to separate this one. This one is going now to use a display of grid. And how many containers do I want to separate each grid? I want that inside of my columns, like my grid template columns, I need to be I want 2 spaces. So what I would do here is I would say grid template columns, and what I would say is 1 fr 1 fr, that is 1 fraction 1 fraction 1 fraction. And if I say it is going to divide it into 2, that is 1 fraction here, another fraction here, another fraction here, another here. So if I increase this actually, and I add again another 1 fraction here, it is going to separate it into 3. But for this purpose of this project, we don't want it to be in 3, so we want it to be in 2s, not in 3s. So I'm going to save it back, and you're going to see everything's back to normal. And also, not forgetting, I want to give it a gap of this gap, so that it can separate the top but each other, and so on and so forth. So with that being said, so now I'll need to take now each feature alone, which is this div together. What I would do now here is, first thing first, I'll first of all include my flex row, which is this one, like this. Then inside of my flex row, I want to give it a gap of SM gap, which is small gap. I think the small needs to be something like some few pixels. And also inside this guy here, I will take the SVGs. I know you probably wondering where are these SVGs coming from. So this is the SVG here, all React icons that are being exported like SVGs. So yeah, Or if I don't want to say an SVG, I can still give it a class name, but for now I've already taken SVG, which is the default tag. And what I want to do here is I want to give it a height of 20 pixels and also a width of 20 pixels, then a border radius of 5 pixels also, with also a font size maybe of no, I won't use font size now, but if I save it, this is it. Nothing has changed, but I want that its background color, its background should be elementary color, this elementary color like this. But if a 20 pixel width is not being applied, so in order for me to make it to be applied, so I'm going to add here min width to be 20 pixels. That means here no matter how small to go, it needs to be small is here. So I'm going to allow it like that. Then now inside of here I'm going to take now my feature text, which is this div here beneath the SVG icon, where I'm going to say here feature text. What I want to do here is I want to take the paragraph that's inside of it, give it the color of secondary color, and give it a font weight of bold like this. Yes, that's it. And also I want to collect my span and also give it a color of neutral color like this. Okay, and I think this our image, it is all. So let me increase this image height, which is found at the left content. So image here, I'm going to give it a width of, it's not going to be 100%, I want it to have 80%, so that the thing can be a little bit more bigger and fit within the space. And I told you with this paragraph from here, so that I have like a breathing room. So inside here I'm going to put a break tag, which is going to break the paragraph like this. Something is going to make something like this thing. So we are done with this particular so we are going to component, whether we are going to import it, but this time around not in the app, we are going to import it inside of this feature component. So we are going to go here inside of this component here, we are going to create another component called control.jsx like this. Run again my RAFCE snippet. Beneath here I'm going to say control.SCSS like this. Then this time around, let me not forget, I need to import my styles and control styles control.scss. So give it here also of class name here. This time it's not going to be app, here it's going to be feature control, because we are going to import it inside of our feature page, so it's going to be feature control. So now right down here I'm going to now import now our control like this, and if you look right there, this is it. Yes, that's it. That's the text for the control. So now I can close this particular page and I close my feature styling. Now what I need to consider, or now what I need to work on, is my control page. Yes. So if I go now inside my control page here, what I want to do now here is I'll first of all create here let me include another S here, feature controls. So now inside here I'm going to say now here control container like this, where I'm going to have here first thing first my first div, which is going to be control text, and it's going to have an h1 which is going to have control in one place like this, and the second one is going to be a paragraph which is going to have a lorem text like this. Yep. So now with everything if the paragraph is too long, I'm going to cut it as we go. So now after this we are going to have a button that is going to say start 14 days trial, and I'm going to close the div, go beneath it, and I'm going to create another one that is going to say control content. So inside of my control content here, if I go inside of my dummy, I can see my controls here. So I'm going to map inside of this controls array. So I'm going to say controls dot map, and for each control, and I'm going to take the index, I want to return a div of control without forgetting to pass the key of index. Yes, that. So now inside of our control here, first thing first we want to have is our control icon, and here is going to have better paragraph that is going to say control here dot icon like this. We're going to use better tag. So the different controls icon here, somehow very bit small. We're going to fix that, and beneath our control icon div are going to have another one of control text content like this. We are going to have a paragraph, and it's going to have a control dot name, and just below the paragraph we are going to have a span that is going to have some lorem 10 words. So like so, here they are. Interesting. So now I think we are done with this control. Now what we need to do now is we need to start styling the control page. So as you usually do, let me take this feature here, let me copy this one, and I paste it also here. Close my dummy, close my feature, close my sidebar. Let me open them side by side. Voila, so I really know where I'm working on. So the first one is feature control, the main paragraph or the main div itself. So I want to first of all give it a width of 70% also, so that it shouldn't take like maximum width of the whole web page. And also here I want to give it a position of absolute. Since I want to give it a position of absolute, I'm going to give it a bottom of negative 40%, and also I'm going to give it the left of 0 and the right of 0, and I can do now my margin auto, margin of auto here. So it centralizes. You're styling it, actually it's going to move up, so don't be in a haste. So now I'm going to give it also a background of add secondary color. So the secondary color is white, so that's why you can't see anything. Give it a padding of MD gap. Yes, started climbing up, which is interesting. And also give it a border radius of 20 pixels and also a box shadow of shadow like this. So that's it. It is coming in place as we are building it. So now the second is this control container div, where here I want to give it a width of 100% and also give it I need to include this flex direction here, and I also need to give it a oops, pardon, sorry for that. I also need to give it a gap of LG gap like this, so it separates the top and bottom from each other. So now with that being said, I take my control text, which is inside of this control container div. First thing first, also give it this same guy here. As you can see, somehow being very big, the button has increased, and also I need to say text align here to be centralized. So there is centralized text that is found inside of this guy. So now inside of here, I'm going to find my H1 here, give it a font size of 4 rem and a color of primary color like this. Control in one place. So with that, I'm going to take the paragraph also and give it a color of neutral color and a font size of 1.3 rem like this. But I think we are mistake-ish. This text here is too much, so I'm going to cut it here. Yes, I'm going to have text like this. Somehow it shouldn't be that much. Yeah. Okay. So, and also for the button, let me go beneath this paragraph, which is the button. The button found within it. So first thing here, I'm going to say include here button, and I'm going to give it a background here of primary. So here's the button. It has changed, but the button is very wide. So I'm going to give it a width of fit content, as you can see, and I'm going to give it here a color of secondary, so it changes it to white. Then give it an align self to be center, so that it is okay. I think that one is done. I'm done with the button so far. Now I need to take my control content, which is out of control text. So control content, what I need to do here is I will need to give it also a display of grid. So I say display grid, and also I want it to be divided into 3, so I'm going to say grid template columns 1 FR, 1 FR, and also 1 FR, which is 3 sections, and also going to give it a gap of yeah, I'm going to give it a gap of LG gap like this, so that it can space them together. Okay, so after that, going to select my control within it, and take my control, give it a background. First of all, background of primary color, yes, and also going to give it a padding here inside of it is going to be L gap, yes, which is going to be 2 rem, and also going to take some border radius of 20 pixels, and going to have a color of secondary color like this. Then I'm going to take my control icon, where I'm going to give it a height, or let me start with the width of 30, height also of 30. Then background here is going to be elementary color, and also you're going to have a box shadow of elementary shadow like this. Then yeah, since things they are not centralized, if you guessed it, I'm going to include here flex center like this. So I need to also include some border radius here. So I need to also include some border radius here of 50%, so that it can be circled out. And yep, I think for now it's done. And inside of this control, so I'll need to include something, let me see. So because I need to centralize everything together, so I need to say include flex center, and I'm also going to give it a flex direction of colon, so that it is bumped. And also going to include some gap of this guy here inside of my control here like this, yes. Then beneath it, which is inside of this control text here, beneath this control icon, so I want to first of all say at flex include flex align, then also flex direction is colon. Then yeah, I want to say text align to be center like this. And also what I will need to do here is select my paragraph that is found within it, to give it a font width of bold like, and also my span, I'm going to change the color to be neutral color like this. It is not seen that. Okay, we are show component. We are done with it. Component. We are done with it. So now, and also I think we are done with the feature component. Now we need to work on the distribution component. This is going to be our second to the last component here. So I'm going to just say distribution JSX, run my RAFCE, create the distribution dot SCSS. Then inside of here, let me just import also everything, and inside of my distribution, let me not forget also to import my stars and distribution dot SCSS like that. Okay, give it here a class of app distribution like this. Now what you need to do inside of a distribution container here, you are going to have here another div. Let me close my sidebar. Dot distribution container, and inside of my distribution container I'm going to have here the left distribution, and I'm also going to have the right distribution. For now you can't see it because I haven't imported it yet. Let me import it first in my index. So import distribution, then export this distribution. So if I go back now to my app here, then I say distribution like this. If everything is set, where is it? Okay, actually it's there because I've removed the text from it. So if I put here back this tree, or let me just put like this, so this is the text here for distribution. Okay, so let me remove back this text, and for our distribution here, instead of our left distribution here, we are going to have here which is going to be distribution text. We are going to have an H1, and we are going to have here that says the tax also works on your phone, full stop, like this, which is going to be somewhere, and just beneath it I'm going to create a paragraph, and I'm going to say lorem. So it's going to generate me random text. And if you are not using like a text editor, if you are not using VS Code as your text editor, if you run lorem, I'm not sure it's going to work. Yeah, I'm not sure. So the next one here is going to be for distribution buttons. I'm going to create a div below the distribution text, and I'm going to give it a class name of distribution buttons. And the first button here is going to be, say, download app, and same as the second button. So now for this first button here, we are going to be using here, we are going to say BS Apple is an icon. So let me copy it, and the second one is going to be so all these are React icons. So the first one I'm going to import, so I'm going to import this from React icons slash io 5, I think, yes, this one. And the second one, which is BS Apple, this one is not from that one, this one is from BS, like this. I think the buttons they are there. Okay, yeah, there they are. They are the buttons. And yes, everything is done. Let me close my app, close index, close home. First of all, allow distribution there. And for the side, the right distribution here, what I'm going to do here is going to be an image, img, like this, and this one is going to say 2 phones. So these 2 phones is coming from my images, 2 phones from images, like this. So this is where my image is from. This is, I think, the image, voila, this is the image here. And also, let's not forget to include a draggable to be false, like that. So with that, now with that part being done, and with this other part, so now I think we can proceed to the stylings. Let me open on side base, and the first thing I want to take here is going to be my app distribution, the parent div, where I'm going to start by giving it a padding at 40% at the top left. I'm going to give it MD gap 10% at bottom, MD gap at left, like this. So it gives that space so you can come down without no problem, where we can have like a place where that no problem. Okay, so taking my distribution container, what I will have here is going to be distribution container, and I'm going to say include, first thing first here, flex align, like this, without no problem. And I'm going to take my left distribution here, also as usual. First, we are going to give it a flex of 1, and if I say at include flex direction, then I give it a gap of LG gap, like this. It has separated them from each other. And if I take my distribution text, and I include also the same So with that being done, now let's proceed to a distribution buttons. Or before we go too deep in our distribution buttons, or we come back to the distribution text, first of all let's first work with a distribution buttons. This guy here, distribution buttons. So first thing first, in my distribution buttons, I'm going to include my flex align, yeah, and I'm also going to have some gap of LG gap, pardon, gap of LG gap, like this. Okay, then now if I select my button, first thing first here, I need to first of all include my button. Let me not forget that one, that's the most important. Then secondly here, what I will do here is I'm going to take the background here, give it to primary color, and I will take my color here, give it to secondary color. Then the gap that I'm going to use here, the gap is going to be SM gap, like this. The SM gap can be applied because there's no display property here, or I need now to say add here include flex align, like this, so that it gives some space within and this text found within the button tag. Okay, so now with that being said, so inside here, instead of my distribution text where we had my H1, this is where I'm going to give it also a font size of 4 rem and also a color of hashtag neutral. Pardon, it's going to have primary color, primary color, like that. Then my paragraph, as usual, is going to have font size of 1.3 rem, and the font color the color here, which is going to be my neutral color, like this. Yes, so with the distribution right or left being done, I think now we need to go to the distribution right. So going beneath this one, and I say distribution, yeah, right distribution here. First of all, I want to give it also a flex of 1, and also inside of this flex of 1 here, I want to give it also a add include flex align, then also justify content here, flex end, so that it at the end. Voila, so far everything is cool, everything is moving sweet. And now the last but not the least is the footer component. So I'm going to close everything, and I'll create here the new file is going to be footer.jsx RAFCE, and also within the footer here I am going to create in my styles file here footer.scss. Then inside here I'm going to import my style folder, then footer footer.scss. So I need to import it here, so I need to say import footer. Then also here I need to export here by saying footer. Then in my app.js file here, without me forgetting, I need to say here footer, like this. Footer, let me not forget to close it. Okay, so my footer text, great for the footer there. Close my index and this. So inside of my footer here, what I'm going to do here is, inside of my footer, first thing first, I'm going to divide my footer into 3 by first giving it a class name of app footer. So I'm going to give it here first my footer container, like this. Then inside the footer container, this is what I'm going to divide it by 3. I'm going to have here footer top, where I'm going to have middle, and also bottom, like this. So the footer top, what I'm going to have here is, I'm going to first of all have my dot logo, and where I'm going to have my big, which is going to say the tax. And inside of it, beneath this logo, I'm going to have here dot footer CTA, which is call to action, where I'm going to have a paragraph that is going to say ready to get started, question mark. Then below this paragraph, I'm going to create a button. Then the button is going to say get started, like this. So now with the footer top, it is done. So now with the footer middle, so I'm going to have here, I'm going to divide it by 2. So I'm going to have here left middle, and I'm also going to have right middle, where in the left middle I'm going to have an input, or before having an input, I'm going to have a text that says subscribe to our news letter. And just beneath it, I'm going to have my input container, where I'm going to have my input, where I'm going to have a placeholder of email address. Let me remove this one, it's not capital A. Yes, like this. And beneath it, I'm going to have a button that says go, like that. And in the right middle, what I'm going to do here is, I'm going to say that I'm going to have a UL that is going to have here the name of dot middle route, like this. Then in the middle route, what I'll do here is I'll just say routes.map, and for each route and the index of the route, what I want to do here is I want to return automatically an li with the class name of route, where I'm going to say key is going to be my index, but I haven't imported my route yet, so I need to say import routes from dummy, like this. So here I'm going to just have this one, and I'm going to have here route dot name, like this. And in my footer bottom, I'm going to have two footer bottoms, so I'm going to separate them into two, where I'm going to have here left bottom, and I'm also going to have right bottom. So yeah, so far everything being arranged. So in my left bottom, what I'm going to have here is I'm going to have a UL with two LIs, and the first one is going to be terms and conditions, and the second li is going to have privacy policy, like this. So there they are. And the last UL, let me just copy this one, and inside of right bottom here also, I'm going to have this, but I'm going to have it here, they're not going to be this, they're instead going to be bird icons. So the first one is going to be far face, it's going to be the Facebook icon. So let me just bring it in, or let me just bring all of the ULs in. So inside here I'm going to just paste it, then we're going to import all of them. So the first one is far Facebook, BS Twitter, BS Instagram. So I'm going to say import far Facebook F from React icons /fa, like this. It's going to give an error, so I need to say BS, where I imported the BS Twitter, and BS Instagram, like this. So I think with that being said, I'm not supposed to have any compilation error. All of my three icons as be which here they are. So let's start our footer. Let me go to the distribution page here and import this line, then paste, remove my distribution, and I go back here, copy the first one, which is app footer, go beneath here, and what I would say is inside of my app footer, what I want to have here is first of all a padding of MD gap. The second one here, I want it to have a background color of primary color, and it's going to have a color of secondary color, like this. Okay, there they are, no problem. So first thing first, here I'm going to take my footer container, and what I'll do here is I need to first of all include flex direction, and I want to give it a gap of LG gap like this, so that you can separate all of these guys together. So now, with that part being done, take my footer top. With the footer top, what I'll do here is first thing first, include flex between. Then with the flex between, I want to give it a padding bottom of LG gap, then also a border bottom of border like this. Yes, like this. So now inside of my footer top, let me shrink this so that I can be seeing what I'm doing. I have my logo here, so I'm going to say add logo, then I just include logo like this, so I can see the logo has changed. Yes. So now instead of the footer logo and the footer CTA, which is out of the footer logo, what I will say here is add include here first of all flex align, then I give it an LG gap, a gap of LG gap like this. Then target the button found within it, say button, and what I need to first of all say, I need to include the button predefined styles already, where it has changed so far. I need to give it a color of secondary, no, primary, and a background of secondary color. Oh, so we are done with the footer top. So let's go to the footer middle. So here is the footer top, ends here. So I need to say footer middle. So with the footer middle also, I'll need to say add flex between. Let me just copy this one, include flex between. Yeah, so I can space out everything that's found within the footer. And within the footer middle, so I'm going to take here first that I'm going to start with is this one. So take my footer left middle, and I want to first of all include flex direction like this. Then with that being said, I need to say include my gap of LG gap like this, so that I can space these guys together. And from that, now I need to take my input container, and what I'll do here is I'll just say border here of border, and also a padding of 0.2 rem, and also a border radius of border radius of, I'm going to use 25 pixels here for now. And if I go to my input, then I say include input here, include input here. You can see it has already included the input. And also if I take the button and I use include button, then I add some background here of elementary color, and also a color here of secondary color. You can see now that our input container down here, it is done. So left now is these files that are found here. So now inside of here, left middle finishes here, so I need to take my right middle, where I'll need to take my middle route here, and what I'll do here is I'll just say include add include routes like this. Then I take my LIs here and I'll say include text grading like that, and that's pretty great. So we are done with our right middle, and also we are done with our footer middle. From there now we need to go to our footer bottom, which is here. So inside of the footer bottom, what do I have? So inside of this footer bottom here, first of all I will say include flex between, and I'm just going to globalize all of the URLs here, and I'm going to say include out routes like this, which is going to give everything I want, and yes, everything is out from here. So actually we are done with right. Remaining one, like this button that we need to include, and I'm going to make that one to be a component. So yeah, I'm going to say scroll to top .jsx RAFCE. Let me remove this feature, remove also this one, and yeah. So inside of my scroll to top, inside of this arrow scroll to top, maybe arrow back, what I would do here is, first thing first here, give it a class name of maybe I'll give it arrow up, scroll to top like this, up, arrow scroll to top. Yes. So inside here is going to have only an A tag with home, and also is going to have some BS arrow up icon, which is going to be coming from import BS arrow up icon from react icon /BS. So I'm going to come back here to implement the logic when it needs to be shown. So if I go back here and I go back to my component here in my index, import st top, then I export it here, st top. Then in my app here, I can just put this one at the bottom, st top, like that. And yes, here's the guy here, but we need to style it. So I'm going to style it inside of my app.js js, or we can still do to create but anyways, let us style it in our app.js file here. Inside of our app.js file, app.css, pardon, inside of our app.css here, let me copy this style class name. I'm going to say this is going to have a background of the elementary color, and it's also going to have a height of 50 pixels and also a width of 50 pixels with some border radius of 50%, border radius of 50%, border radius of 50%, like that. I think it is not showing. Okay, it has come, and it's going to have some cues of pointer, going to have a position of fixed. Then we have it, we want it to be at bottom of 20 pixels and also right at 50 pixels, like this, so that it is not somewhere done. Then we want it to have the color of hashtag neutral, this neutral color, like this. And also at first we want to give it but not now, because we don't want it to be just visible. So I'm going to first of all take the a tag that is found within it, a tag that is found here, give it a height of 100%, width of 100% also. So one also is having a height of 100%, width of 100%. I think here I need to include here include at flex center, like this, so it centralizes it. Yes, like that. So what happens now is when I click on it, it is not taking me back to the top. This because here in my home.js here I need to add an ID here, and I say home, and if that one is done and I click here, you can see it back to the home. Voila. But in my home, you can see the thing is not smooth, and I want it to be smooth. So in order for me to make it to be smooth here, I need to select the whole HTML body, and I say scroll behavior, and I say smooth. Now if I go right down, I save, if my work saves, go back to the top, do you see how it goes? Kind of smooth right now, right? Yes. Voila. Okay, but I don't want that this scroll to top button should be visible when I'm just coming the first time on this website. I need to first of all scroll before I see some things showing back. So now here inside of my app.js here, so the same logic we used before in our navbar. So I'm going to say const here, I'm going to use useState. So I'm going to say is active, comma, set is active equals to useState of false. That's be its initial state, of course. So function show arrow, function show arrow is going to say if what window dot scroll y is greater than greater than none equals to 300, that is 300 pixels from the top. Set is active to true, else here set it to false. Set is active to false, back to false. And same, we need now here to add our window that add event listener, which is going to be scroll then show our row. But now nothing can happen because we haven't given a condition here. So instead of this condition here, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say is active, comma, use if it is active, use this class name, then add active to it, else you just use this class name like that. So now here on this guy here with this active state, so now here by default I want that its opacity here should be 0, and also let me put some transition here, add trans. But now at its active state dot active, I want that its opacity to be 1. Okay, so if I go back now here, as you can see the opacity is gone, and if I scroll back, you see it is gone, and if I go again, now it's done. But now take a look here, you can see when I hold the cursor changes to a mouse. So now here I need to now say that pointer events here should be none. Pointer event here to be none, and also here while it is active here, pointer event here should be visible like that. So it is no pointer event here, but when I scroll up, you can see now the pointer events are back here. It takes me back to the top, like that, which is cool, amazing. Yes.